Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Tuesday, January 4th. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Notre Dame game in 242 days, the game against Michigan in 327 days. Everyone is home from the Rose Bowl now, but we still have lots of Ohio State news coming in fast and furious this week. Tyreek Smith and Master Teague both declared for the NFL draft on Monday evening. And not all of our crew is actually home. Kevin Noon went straight from the Rose Bowl to San Antonio for the All-American game. You may remember it as the Army Bowl. He is there with Buckeye Scoop's Marc Givler. You've heard a lot from Kevin over the last week or so I figured we'll give Kevin a break. Let's have Marc on instead to talk about the what this is. I mean, Marc, this is a pretty big event on the recruiting calendar every year.
Yeah, this has been the one game that I think a lot of the Ohio State guys over the years have gravitated towards playing in. That's not to say they've never had guys in the Under Armour game. They had a few the other day, but big contingent this week. I believe it's 8 commits. Their top 3 uncommitted targets are also here. And it's, look, it's a great opportunity. It's maybe not as the practices maybe aren't as physical as they used to be during the prep week, but you still get to see, great on great, which is always fun. See how guys match up athletically.
All right, so I want to get to the All-American game in just a couple minutes, but first there were a couple commitments that happened while we were out at the Rose Bowl, including the one that happened during the Rose Bowl that we really didn't get a chance to talk about with all the other stuff going on. So the first one is Sunday, Omari Abor, 4-star defensive lineman from 2022. Kind of let people know where he projects to play at the next level.
Yeah, I think he's pretty versatile. I think he's going to be one of the defensive end positions. I've had people in Texas tell me they think that he would fit that Leo spot. I think he's going to get a little bit too big for that. I think his frame's going to outgrow that. So I think he's maybe more of a hand in the dirt type of player, but also a guy who, may be able to grow into an interior pass rusher. But, it's interesting because, like I said, there's some guys in Texas who maybe disagree a little bit on that. And kind of, I've had one guy, again, tell me he's more of like an Eni White. And then I've had other people like, I don't know. I mean, he might be more of a, almost like the way they were describing it to me was almost more of like a Draymond Jones type of player. But I think the truth's probably somewhere in the middle there. I think he'll probably put his hand in the dirt, but be more of a pass rushing defensive end, but not a guy who maybe plays that stand-up spot.
Now, there has not been a whole lot of 2022 yet, but he definitely had my favorite recruiting moment of 2022 so far, where he put his Ohio State hat on, declared that he was committing to the University of Ohio State, and then immediately, less than a minute later, talked about the visits to other schools he still has coming up. So I guess the natural question there is, so how likely is it that this one actually sticks into February?
I think it's pretty likely. The elephant in the room continues to be, Larry Johnson and his future. If something would come out in the next, couple of weeks that Larry Johnson's moving on, I could maybe see that being a source of some anxiety for Ohio State in terms of how that would impact Omari. But I'm actually not too worried about it right now. I think, people took those comments about the Miami visit, Texas A&M visit. I'm not convinced those visits are going to happen. I really don't think the A&M visit's going to happen. Maybe we'll see what the Miami thing does. That would be kind of strange to me. I know that, new coaching staff, but it's just, Oregon was not really a school that was linked very closely to Omari before. So now that Mario Cristobal is at Miami, I don't know that that's going to be a huge thing that moves the needle there. I tend to think this is more suspense generation than anything. Look, there was a lot of smoke coming out of Florida this week that he was going to go to Tech. He was going to announce for Texas A&M, and I kind of shut that down immediately. That's not going to happen. So I don't think the visit there is going to happen. We'll see. I think he's as solid as he probably could be given what he said. Okay. I think people are kind of taking the comments and running with them, but I don't think they would have taken the commitment if they thought he was just going to turn around and flip in a week or two.
All right, and then the second commitment, you mentioned the uncertainty around Larry Johnson could potentially impact things with Abor. There's lots of uncertainty in the Ohio State defensive coaching staff right now, especially in the back end, where Matt Barnes is now officially the defensive coordinator at Memphis. Jim Knowles has just started. He just changed his Twitter profile picture to something with Ohio State on it. So it's like, okay, well, now he's official. But there's still whatever uncertainty there is around Larry Johnson. There's still some lingering uncertainty around Kerry Combs. We talked about that on yesterday's show. And yet, with no Barnes and Combs kind of up in the air, they landed a commitment from 4-star safety Cedric Hawkins out of Florida, right in the middle of the Rose Bowl game. So that was a name I had not really heard discussed a lot. So what can you let people know about him?
Yeah, well, first of all, he's more of your cover safety type of guy. He's not a huge kid, but 5'11", 175 right now. Fast, can run, good ball skills. Again, not your bullet or maybe your more traditional strong safety. Again, more of probably a cover guy, speed guy. So good pickup. They're in on some higher ranked guys, so we'll see how that goes with those guys, and if they still feel good about some of them. I thought it was kind of fascinating the timing of this, not just during the Rose Bowl, but I mean, we have no idea what the defensive staff's going to look like even in just a couple of weeks. And so I have to give some credit here to Tony Alford, who was the primary recruiter here, getting this kid to commit to the atmosphere that he committed to right now, which is that he probably has no idea who's going to be his position coach.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of up in the air right now. And I mean, you're going to have a new scheme. You're going to have potentially different, additional new coaches. You don't know any of that stuff. He is a 2023. There is time for relationships to get built and all that with all the new folks. So yeah, that was interesting timing on a couple fronts, like you said.
And also just real quick, I mean, he's out of the same high school, people, Jamel Dean and Bruce Judson. Dean obviously was his own little situation, but Bruce Judson committed the day the national championship came when they beat Oregon. He never made it to campus, decommitted. Ironically, after playing a high school game up in Ohio at Lakewood St. Edward, waited to get that game out of the way, then decommitted from Ohio State. So there's a fascinating history there. And then you kind of see history repeating itself a little bit with him announcing during the Rose Bowl, the way Judson announced the day the national championship came several years ago.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife. There was now I'm forgetting who committed on Christmas Day, but there was it was like, who commits on Christmas Day? It was like,
Marcellus Jones.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and
because I missed a call from him about 8 a.m. that morning, and I'm like, why is Marcellus Jones calling to wish me a Merry Christmas at 8 in the morning? And then I checked my phone, and sure enough, he's on Twitter committing. I was like, oh, I guess I should have picked up the phone.
Yeah, I think G. Scott might have committed on Christmas Day too. It's like. Just because it's you think something else is going on doesn't mean that something else is going on for everyone else. So
to G's credit, he scheduled it.
Yes, yeah.
Marcellus did not. I don't think Marcellus scheduled much of anything in his life, though. So I think that was pretty fitting.
Who doesn't love a surprise Christmas present? So you are down there for this All-American game, as we said. But the game is not till this weekend, and you're down there now. So what kind of stuff is happening this week before the game actually happens?
Yeah, so we'll get a few days of practice. Generally, it's like 3 days of practice. So they'll do. We'll see with some one-on-ones. We'll get probably some 7-on-7. We'll do some 11-11. I would guess. They've limited that the last couple times I've been down here. There used to be full padded practices a couple of the days. I don't know that we'll go to that extent this week. So we'll see what they decide to do with that. But yeah, lots of practices, grade on grade again, so that's always fun. And there's an underclassmen combine every year down here, and that'll be on Friday. So we'll get a chance to kind of see, I should get a list here at some point on the next couple days and see maybe usually there's at least a dozen or so prospects of interest for Ohio State down here for that. So that'll be Friday, and then the game will be Saturday afternoon.
And it is remarkable. We were talking before the show and putting together a list of the Ohio State commits who are down there, and it's like literally half of the class: Tabor Shabola, Jair Brown, Devin Brown, Keon Graves, Caleb Burton, Caleb Brown, Caden Curry, Kojo Antwi, George Fitzpatrick. I mean, that is a lot of guys. We do not have time to talk about all of those guys, at least today. We may do another recruiting show a little later on in the week, because there's probably going to be a lot to talk about this week. But who are one or two of those guys who you're maybe the most interested in seeing this week?
Yeah, there's definitely a few. Not to disrespect some of the other guys, but someone like Caden Curry. I've seen a lot of Caden Curry. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of Jair Brown, Tabor Shabola. I've seen a lot of those guys. I have not seen George Fitzpatrick, and he's a former tight end, so he's a converted tight end. Now going to be an offensive tackle. Ohio State needs offensive tackles right now. I'm curious to see where he's at physically. Just from a size perspective, how ready he looks, how much further maybe he has to go physically. I want to see his footwork, how he moves. So I'm very interested to see George Fitzpatrick, and really think he might be the high upside guy in this class for them on the offensive line. So that'll be interesting for me. First look at him will be my second look at Devin Brown, but I think with everything that's been happening with the quarterback situation at Ohio State the last year or so, with Ewers coming in and then leaving, and then you're trying to get a quarterback in the class, you're trying to do that anyway, but then Ewers leaves, so then you really need to get one. And I did see Devin at Elite 11. He was very good at Elite 11, but I was obviously there watching Ewers and watching some other guys, so I didn't have like the laser focus on Devin Brown that week. So, and then again, this will also be, more of a real football situation than just t-shirt and shorts. So, Devin Brown's definitely high on my list. And, this is a guy I have seen a little bit of, but, I was so impressed with Keon Grays at the opening. And, I just get, I don't think he's the exact same type of player as Jackson Smith-Njigba was, but I get the same type of like, the underrated kind of label. It flies out to me when I watch Keon. And so I'm looking forward to seeing if he can continue to just kind of impress everybody. He's kind of same kind of trajectory as Jackson Smith-Njigba, where it just felt like every time they updated rankings or every time you got a new evaluation on him in high school, you're just a little bit more impressed.
Whatever happened to that guy? Those Jackson Smith-Njigba.
I don't know. I whiffed on that one. I thought he would be good, but
well, despite your past failings, I do want to ask you about some potential future Buckeyes. Three guys who are not yet committed, you are potentially going to you're going to get to see this week as well. Hero Canoe, defensive tackle, Carson Hinsman, offensive lineman, and then Christian Miller, defensive lineman. Is there one, or are you expecting news on any of those three guys this week, or just is there someone that you're particularly interested in seeing because you haven't really seen them yet? Yeah,
so we're definitely going to get news on Hero Canoe. He has been scheduled to announce here for quite a while. He's going to announce obviously Saturday on the broadcast. I expect Ohio State fans to get good news on this one. I've kind of had him in the mock class or whatever you want to call it for a long time now, since his visit over the summer. So I think there could be some big news coming there. Christian Miller continues to look like a February signing period. He initially was going to announce this week. He then announced, actually, no, he's going to wait until February when signing period opens. I believe it's the 2nd. I could have the date wrong on that, but it's the first week of February. And so that is kind of a change, although you never know with him. So who knows? Well, I guess we'll stay tuned in the next few days. But the interesting one is Carson Hinsman, who did not sign in December, just could not decide between Ohio State and Wisconsin. There is a chance that he could make a decision. He could be, I've been down here in the past and I've seen this. It hasn't often or really ever been an Ohio State guy, but there are guys who have showed up here who weren't on the expected commitment watch list, and midweek they decide, you know what, I am going to announce this game. And there's a chance that happens now for Hinsman. And it's interesting because Wisconsin just lost their offensive line coach. Joe Rudolph took another job. So could be interesting if there's some movement this week, that could be good news for Ohio State.
Well, and being around, like I said, like what did we say? 9 guys, 9 current commits, and maybe Canoe could be 10. And then, I would imagine spending time around literally half of your potential recruiting class. If you're on the fence, maybe that helps tip things over to the Ohio State side as well.
Yeah, no question. It can, is it going to take you from totally out of the picture to the favorite? No, but again, this kid has been so torn. He's not a game player. He really wanted to decide in December. He told me the week of signing day, he's like, I'm not gonna be able to do it on Wednesday, but he had until Friday. He's like, I really want to do this by Friday. He couldn't, just couldn't get to a decision. This could help push things over the edge. I don't think we're going to see a Darnay Holmes situation where he's leaning Ohio State. He's hanging out with all the Ohio State guys, and then dad flies in midweek, and all of a sudden he's off in the corner with Najee Harris and not talking to any Ohio State guys. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy like that with Carson this week. I think it'll be just more of a laid back, hey, we'd love to have you type of vibe. But it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to have like you said, I think it's 9 right now, and potentially 10 with Hero Canoe.
Well, there's going to be a lot to cover down there. You guys are going to be busy. We just get back from our very, very busy bowl week, and now you get to have a very, very busy All-American game week. So it's always fun to be on the road and get to do. So you guys did a Scoop Eats segment already, you and Kevin, so that you can find that on the front page of BuckeyeScoop.com, and you can also find lots of content from this game, all the practices, all the evaluations, all the interviews, all that great stuff will all be at BuckeyeScoop.com this week. May get a podcast, may get some YouTube. I'm sure there will be plenty of scouting video on YouTube at youtube.com/BuckeyeScoop. So you're going to want to find all those spots I tell you at the end of every show to go check out. You should check them all out this week because there's going to be a ton of new stuff there. Plus, we've talked about the coaching carousel. We've talked about NFL draft declarations, potential transfer portal. This is going to be a busy, busy few weeks. So make sure you check out BuckeyeScoop.com for all of that stuff. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.